Hello, well, thank you for coming and welcome. Just a disclaimer, I've got a little bit of a cold today, so if I sound a little bit off, that's why, but we're going to power through. So I just wanted to say welcome, get your cup of teas at the ready or coffee, grab something to eat if you haven't had your breakfast already, and let's look at paid Facebook and LinkedIn advertising. And of course, it's Friday the 13th, so I wanted to put a little Friday the 13th meme in there. I was a little bit under pressure when I found out that I was doing this on Friday the 13th. It's either very lucky for some or unlucky for others, so hopefully it'll go okay today. Just in case anyone on here doesn't know me, my name is Becca. I'm the Digital Marketing Executive here at WilsonCooke, and I primarily work within social media management, paid and organic for our B2B and B2C clients. So that was a little bit about who I am and what I do. So firstly, I wanted to go through acquisition models because I would say this is arguably one of the most important things when you're looking at Facebook and LinkedIn advertising is knowing your audience and knowing what you want to get out of it. So firstly, I want to go through the marketing funnel, and I say this all the time on calls with any clients that are on this call, and I probably sound like a broken record. However, social typically sits at the top of the funnel and heavily impacts the awareness stage. This is typically where you introduce your target audience to your products/services. Why is it valuable to them? So often I'll use social ads to reach a new audience, primarily lookalike audiences or potentially saved audiences if the audience isn't as niche. However, working with a lot of B2B clients, I normally go for lookalike audiences because that's better for a niche market. Normally, I would do this from the awareness stage. So this would be about what your product/service is, how it brings value to the customer and why they need it. That is the most important. This is kind of like your make or break section here, because this kind of influences how they're going to progress within that customer journey, which, as you can see, funnels down into interest, consideration, intent, evaluation, and purchase. So I just wanted to touch on how social evolves in the funnel, because you kind of have social in two separate different places. So like I've just mentioned, a lot of social does sit in the awareness, but you do also have it in the engagement section as well. So firstly, social is used to attract. So the goal here is to solve the customer's pain/problems and really showcase your product offering. Typically, we'll be acquiring new audiences to the overall customer journey, like I mentioned before, using saved audiences/lookalike audiences, etc. And maybe using lookalike audiences based on data, and just trying to reach that new audience. So that's kind of like your attraction stage. That also goes within blogging and SEM as well. And then we've got the engagement stage. So often this would be people who have would be in that, they've been through that attraction stage, they know what your product is, they know what your service is, and then it is about engaging them. So how are you going to keep them? A lot of the times that'll be within retargeting ads, which I know I do for a lot of clients who are on this call now. That also links in with like email, social media outreach, etc. But this is all about, you've now captured their attention. How do you keep this audience, and how do you finally get them to make that purchase or to make that inquiry? The middle of the funnel is typically a point of extended engagement where you're nurturing this lead, building a relationship and establishing trust between the audience and your brand. That is such an important thing. I always harp on about engagement and how important engagement is, because if your audience is engaged, they're still part of that customer journey. And as mentioned before, this would typically be via retargeting ads, via social/engagement objective ads. We'll move on to the types of ads a little bit later on. So one big question that I always ask myself, and that you should be asking yourself, is what do you want to get out of Facebook and LinkedIn marketing? So social media opens up a mass targeting options due to the size of each platform. We all know how many people are on Facebook. We all know how many people are on LinkedIn. It is massive, specifically a B2B audience on LinkedIn. So mainly what I would ask is, are you looking to increase brand awareness? So are you looking to get those customers in the top of the funnel? Are you looking to them from that awareness stage and then funnel them down into other ways. Maybe you're looking to drive engagement. So with this also comes the opportunity to build up your social audience, so your page likes, doing boosted posts with the engagement objective to ensure that these audiences or these potential customers are being engaged and they are buying into your brand. So they've kind of moved from that overall awareness stage and they're kind of engaging, that, as you can see, they're going further down the funnel. Or are you looking to increase overall leads / purchases, which for a lot of my clients, that is their end goal. So normally I'll discuss with the team, what is the end goal of each of our accounts? Is it to increase leads? Is it to increase purchases? But a lot of that, like, will link into that brand awareness, because at the end of the day, these potential customers have to start the customer journey somewhere, and social is amazing for that. So don't have paid social in your strategy. Here's why you should. I have been a massive advocate for social, and I feel like I always will be. It's like my little baby. But I wanted to put in a few statistics, just in case you're not necessarily convinced about having social in your strategy. Worldwide, the average Facebook user has clicked 12 ads in the last 30 days. Once again, if any of my clients are on this call, you'll know I'm a massive advocate for Facebook ads. Cost per click is really, really low, and the targeting options are quite good as well. And surprisingly, it's actually okay for a B2B audience, but we'll move on to that a little bit later on. Facebook ads reach 1.95 billion of the platform's 2.5 billion monthly users. So that's a lot of people in a lot of different industries, also great for targeting. So you can get very granular with that targeting as well, which I'll move on to a little bit later. The average organic reach for a Facebook post is 5.17 of the page likes, whereas the average page reach is 28.1. That goes back to kind of what do you want to get out of ads. So if you're looking at the awareness and the reach stage, a great part of that is using that engagement objective and getting people engaged and getting that reach up. And LinkedIn is the top paid and organic channel for B2B content marketers. Feel like there's no surprise there. LinkedIn is amazing for B2B, and there was actually a study that came out saying that LinkedIn's actually the most trusted platform for people as well. Facebook was right down at the bottom, which I do feel like that is partly due to everything that happened with the American election years and years and years ago, when Donald Trump first went in and all that controversy around there. So I feel like people don't trust Facebook as much, but LinkedIn is top for what people trust. And I know I go on there to do my own research, and I pretty much trust everything that I read, and it's good to see other people's opinions on there as well. So I just wanted to move on to Facebook advertising first. So I just wanted to run through a quick overall of the Facebook objective types. As you can see, there's a lot of objective types based on what you want. So as mentioned before, it's important to choose the right objective according to your business goals, whether that's increased reach, website visitors, brand awareness, or conversions. Where is your target customer in the funnel? Where do we want them? Top tip, try and utilize all Facebook's available objective and not just link clicks. You may see a difference in performance. So a lot of people who do Facebook ads normally use the link clicks objective, and yes, you can get inquiries through that, but normally I like to optimize that a little bit more by using the conversion objective. That basically uses standard events. So when you use the conversion objective, Facebook puts those ads out to people that are most likely to actually convert and take action. Whereas using the traffic objective, for example, Facebook will put that towards people who are more likely to click on your link. So it kind of depends, once again, what your overall objective is. If it is that you want to increase website traffic, use the traffic objective. If it is to increase overall conversions, use the conversion. If it's to increase brand awareness, use the brand awareness objective. That's actually very good for estimated ad recall lift. So what that does is it gives you a metric of people that will remember your ad if asked within, I'm pretty sure it's 48 hours, 2 days. So that goes with the whole brand awareness and product awareness, especially if your brand is quite niche or it's quite new, or you're selling a product that people don't necessarily know about. That brand awareness is really good. And also the reach engagement as well. So say one of your key metrics or one of your KPIs is to increase reach. I would use that reach metric because that feeds into the overall plan. You do also have other objectives as well based on the consideration. So for example, app installs. Don't think that really is for any of my clients on here, but if you did end up doing an app, then you can drive app installs using that. Video views, say you wanted more video views. Video is amazing. I know I talked about that on my last social media learning lunches, but video is really, really having a big impact on social at the moment. So say you had this really good video that was very informative and you wanted more video views, you can use that. Lead generation is a little bit different. That's more done with forms, and then messages as well. So say you wanted people to message your page, and that was what you wanted to get out of these Facebook ads, you can do that as well. Now I just want to touch on the ad types. So you've got the objective. Now it's time to pick an ad type. How do you want to put that ad to the audience? So Facebook gives you a range of them. So you've got image ads, you've got video ads, you've got carousel ads, which is my personal favorite. Mainly because I feel like carousel ads are quite engaging. As you can see from this little screenshot here, it gives you an example of a carousel ad. So as you scroll in, you can really get that customer's engagement or user's engagement as they're scrolling down their feed, and you can really say what you want to in a concise format. This is where design comes in, so you can see how it's all fitting together. But I personally love carousel ads, and I do find them very engaging as well. Instant experience, which is more, it allows the ads to come in full window format on their news feed, so it takes up the whole news feed. Don't really use them as much. It's kind of like not a new thing, but it's not as used as like carousel ads, video ads, image ads, and exactly the same as collection. It's just kind of more for those customers who prefer to have a different dynamic ad for it to be shown differently. But like I said, I would 9 times out of 10 use image ads, video ads, or carousel ads. And then the biggest thing, whatever you choose, ensure that your design is engaging and relates to your product/service offering, which is what I bang on about to design all the time, and I think they hate me for it. But a lot of it is, you know, I need these ads to be engaging. I need them to look quite good. One thing that we started to introduce, which has actually boosted engagement and link clicks, is this kind of ad. So it's a flow carousel ad. So what it is it's essentially one big picture, but it's split into certain slides. So you'll have like, you can have maximum 10 slides on the carousel. So we'll normally do about 6 to 7. And what it allows is it allows the customer or user to go across, slide across, and it'll be like one big image. I know HubSpot use it and Hootsuite use it, which kind of stole their idea from LinkedIn, but they're 2 amazing industry leaders in social. So, and then Facebook audience types as well. So once again, your audience can depend on what your overall objective is, whether that's to engage with existing customers or to reach new customers. So you have a lot to kind of experiment with on Facebook. And I think that's the biggest thing that I want to get out here is please experiment as much as you want to. Experiment with custom audiences. So Facebook allow you to use saved audiences, which are better for businesses with wider audiences. I wouldn't normally use this for more of my B2B clients in a niche client base, mainly because it might not necessarily be that accurate versus LinkedIn, for example. So I always say what people say their job function is on Facebook may not necessarily be as accurate as what it is on LinkedIn, for example. 9 times out of 10, if someone says they're, for example, a marketing manager on LinkedIn, they are a marketing manager. Saved audiences, though, allows targeting based on job titles, demographics, interests, etc. One thing that I would say if you're using this is you can be quite savvy with it. So you can draw these up by looking at your current customer psychographics. So say you had a lot of customer data and you know, right, okay, so a lot of our customers are interested in our pro-Brexit, for example. I know it's a bit of a controversial one, but when I was looking at the construction sector for one of my assignments recently, I found that a lot of people within the construction sector were pro-Brexit. And I had an idea based on using that on saved audiences. So you can then look at pro-Brexit groups on Facebook and you can target them that way. Once again, probably wouldn't use it for more of like my niche B2B, but it's still good to see if you can get quite savvy with that. And of course, experiment with it. Facebook has a very low cost per click. So even if you put £10 to £20 budget and it doesn't work, it's only £10 to £20. Retargeting, you can retarget audiences who have visited your website and buy specific landing pages. Use this all the time for clients over LinkedIn, mainly because the audience is there on Facebook. I'll go on to that a little bit later on. And also, like I've said, the cost per click is a lot lower than LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you're looking at, Average cost per click, around about £2. Facebook, you're looking around about 50p. So when you weigh it up, it's a lot cheaper. And what I would say is try to get as personal as you can with retargeting campaigns. So normally I'll do an overall retargeting campaign. So I'll do a general message based on those that have visited the website. But for example, for clients, we might have specific campaigns that we want to run based on a specific product or a specific service, and we will then retarget based on those landing pages. So that ad will be about that product / service. So it's a lot more personal to them. These customers have already engaged with them, this page, they're interested in this product / service, and you can retarget based on that. And then finally, we've got lookalike audiences. Massive advocate for lookalike audiences. These could be created by different sources. So for example, you can do it by website, by landing pages, same as the retargeting. So you can create a lookalike around that, but you can also create lookalikes around data and customer lists. So say you have an email database, imported them into Facebook, you can then create a lookalike around those. The lower the percentage, the closer your lookalike audience will be to your existing customer data. So you'll see when you create a lookalike audience, you have a grid, 1%, 10%. Your 10% is kind of like your broader audience. So it is kind of broader based on, you know, say you wanted to create a lookalike audience around website visitors, your 10% would be quite broad, whereas your 1% would be as close to that current audience as you can. This is better for more of my B2B niche clients, etc. But if you have more of like a B2C product, say you're selling like handbags or clothes, I always use that example, then you can be a little bit broader because everyone needs clothes. You could argue that everyone doesn't need a handbag, but you know. And then, like I said, experiment with custom audiences. So experiment as much as you can. The biggest thing that I hear all the time, Facebook does not work for B2B markets. Agree in some ways, as the targeting may not be as good, but there are ways around it and you can be quite smart around it. So I put together some stats. 65% of B2B marketers use Facebook ads, and business decision makers spend 74% more time on Facebook as compared to other people. So as you can see here on the right, I've actually put in this table, and it's based on B2B content marketers used in the last 12 months. So a lot of them would rate LinkedIn as top. There's no surprise there. I'm not saying we should completely discount LinkedIn. That's not the case. We will go on to LinkedIn a little bit later on. It can be used and it can be utilized very, very well, but I don't think you can discard Facebook. So a lot of them do find that Facebook is good for their B2B target efforts as well. A little bit under from LinkedIn, but I thought it'd be less than 66%, to be quite honest. Facebook is particularly good for brand awareness due to the lower cost per click and good targeting options. And I would ensure that a Facebook pixel is installed to measure, retarget, and remarket to new and existing customers. So basically, you can't do your retarget audiences or your lookalike based on website if you don't have that Facebook pixel. That is basically like your gold mine for all the data collected. Now I'm going to move on to LinkedIn advertising. So there are many different objective types for LinkedIn as well. Once again, it's important here to know what your main objectives are. LinkedIn is also the best platform for lead generation, and that's one thing that I always say is that when you're looking at B2B lead generation, LinkedIn tends to be better than Facebook for that. I normally use Facebook for more of like your brand awareness and LinkedIn for more of like your nitty-gritty acquisition. So in a study of over 5,000 businesses, HubSpot found that traffic from LinkedIn generated the highest visitor to lead conversion rate at 2.74%, almost 3 times or 277% higher than both Twitter and Facebook, which I think says it all. Which goes back to what I've just said. I would use Facebook primarily for more of like your brand awareness, potentially retargeting ads, but your LinkedIn for your nitty-gritty like acquisition. And I put in a did you know as well. Did you know that ad exposure on LinkedIn can increase purchase intent by 33%? And a lot of that is because there is a massive B2B audience on LinkedIn. Like I mentioned before, there is a huge amount of trust with LinkedIn, and you can really get savvy with these objective types as well. Normally, I use the website conversion type, because that allows you to track, you know, form fills, clicks to call, etc. It shows your ad to people that are more likely to convert. But of course, if your main objective is to increase brand awareness, or maybe you want to increase website visitors to then retarget them via Facebook or Google Display Network or whatever, then you can do that. And I think you can see how all of this is kind of linking together and how you can utilize all the platforms and really make them work together. You've also got engagement, you've got lead generation. So lead generation uses a form a bit similar to Facebook. And then you've got job applicants as well, which LinkedIn was primarily really good for like job applications. It's kind of steered away more from job applications. Don't get me wrong, it's still like massive on LinkedIn, but I think it's because people are utilizing LinkedIn in other ways rather than just looking for a job now. But it's definitely still really good for trying to get job applicants. And then I just wanted to touch on LinkedIn ad types. These follow similar ones to what we can use on Facebook. So you've got your image ads, you've got your carousel ads, your video ads, your text ads, spotlight ads, which kind of comes up on people's feed, and it could be more personalized. So it says more of like your name, look at recent used jobs and offers from your brand name. And then you've got a message ads. If any of you on LinkedIn, you've probably seen this where it says sponsored and someone messages you asking for like, if you want to try their service, that's your messenger ads. And then your conversion ads as well. So which type of ad will you choose? Image and videos in your LinkedIn posts increases engagement too. Videos can get 5 times more engagement on your content, while live videos can get you 24 times more engagement. This goes back to what I said in my last learning lunches as well. Video is massive. If you have that good video content that you can use, utilize it, use it on ads. But also don't discount the other ads as well, carousel ads and image ads, and make sure to A/B test as well. So say you wanted to test how a carousel ad has different engagement to like a video ad, for example. A/B test it. Let's see which one works. I'm a massive advocate for A/B testing, because the only way you can find out what works is by continuing to test, because things are changing all the time. And then finally, we've got LinkedIn audience types. So this is a little bit better than Facebook for more of like looking for your B2B. And like I said, you can guarantee that a lot of the data on LinkedIn is a lot more accurate than Facebook. If someone says they're a marketing manager, 9 times out of 10 they are. Someone says they work for a certain company, 9 times out of 10 they do. Because these people on LinkedIn need to keep their profile up to date, especially if they're looking for jobs, etc. So one thing that you could do is company targeting, which you can't do on Facebook actually. So it is more of like finding out the employees that work in a company. So you can, based on key company employees you would like to target, you can also break this down by seniority levels. I can't say that, so feel free to judge me for that. But no, that's really good. So say you wanted to target someone from a certain company, and you have certain companies that you want to, you want to make those inquiries, you can target the managing directors of those companies, you can target the CEOs of those companies, etc. Then you've got content targeting, similar to Facebook. You can upload data lists into LinkedIn and target this way. I'm pretty sure you need, I think it's 3,000 matched email addresses to actually use that data. So it's a little bit different to Facebook. Facebook, you don't actually need a minimum to actually upload the data, whereas LinkedIn, you do need quite a big database to then upload and target. But if you have that big database, it's definitely worth doing. Obviously, this needs to be GDPR compliant, of course. Retargeting and lookalike audiences, similar to Facebook, so you can retarget and create lookalike audiences. Takes a little bit longer to create these on LinkedIn. You have to have over 300 members from your website and then create the lookalike audience from that. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's definitely worth doing if you kind of want to get more into LinkedIn. And LinkedIn ads offer more than 200 targeting characteristics. That's a lot to experiment with. Honestly, like I said, A/B test as much as you can. So one of my top tips would be to add and conditions to ensure that you're reaching people in relevant industries / job titles at the right senior level. So that goes back to what I was saying via company targeting. But say you wanted to, let's say we wanted to reach people in manufacturing or manufacturing and engineering. But you wanted to reach those decision makers. So you potentially wanted to reach the MDs, the CEOs, the managers, etc. You can then use that and condition to ensure that you're just targeting those people at that senior level, rather than the people on the ground that kind of work in manufacturing and work in engineering, just to make sure that you really are building that audience to the exact targeting that you want. And LinkedIn also offers quality leads, as 4 out of 5 of members of the platform are in charge of making decisions. Compared to the average web audience, LinkedIn has 2 times buying power, which I think a lot of it is also because it is very much a B2B platform as well. I don't feel like there's any other social channels that are really like this, if I'm honest. And then I wanted to touch on the future of social media ads, because one massive thing that's going to come up is the death of third-party cookies we've seen in iOS 14. It gives me such a headache because it is a lot harder for people like me to track where these inquiries are coming from. For example, if someone's opted out of iOS 14, then it makes it a lot harder to attribute that it came from social, for example. Third parties are, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I know Google's pushed it back until I think it's like 2023, 24. If Hadley's on this call, he'll probably correct me. But I read that they have pushed it back to somewhere around there. But there is also the e-privacy regulation that's coming, which was meant to come in with GDPR, but about how you can use third-party cookies. It's just basically one where it may be harder to track the impact of social, but this could evolve into more savvy marketing. Use more like psychographics. We could use potentially customer surveys to build up that audience and know what that audience is. A massive one is the rise of AI. So the reliance on chatbots for customer service queries is already rise. And as you can see on the shot here from MasterCard, a lot of messaging platforms, a lot of people message through like Facebook, for example, you will get a response from an AI. I know I did this the other week when I inquired about something because my parcel hadn't arrived, and I was talking to a chatbot, which I feel like it's a love-hate relationship with chatbots. I like them because they get, you know, answers there and then very quickly, but some people would prefer to talk to an actual human being. But I do believe that the rise of chatbots and AI in customer service is going to be a really big one as you start to use those messenger ads a lot more. And then the final, virtual reality. So Facebook is actually experimenting with Oculus VR platform to beta test a virtual world that allows people to explore, connect with other, play games. Not sure how this will impact ads necessarily, because a pretty new thing. Facebook is still testing it, but virtual reality is another big thing in marketing as a whole, which is, you know, coming into play, and it could potentially impact social a lot more. So finally, some key takeaways. And talked on about this, but know your customer and set KPIs according to your business goals. So are you looking to extend reach? Are you looking to build up your social audience? Are you looking to drive overall inquiries? I think before you start doing these initial social ads, you need to ask yourself, what do I want to get from this? What is the overall business goal, and how can social fit into that funnel? Experiment, experiment, experiment. There's always best practice, never once all. And that's kind of one thing that I want to take away, that I want you to take away, is that what might work for one business might not work for your business. Some businesses are very niche. They have very niche targeting. They are very, very different, and customers can react in different ways. So there is never a one size fits all, and that's where testing and experimenting comes into play. And then finally, which is what I've touched on before, A/B test where you can. See what ad types / audiences work best for your audience. Test, test, test. And this can not only help with what you do in social going forward, but it can also help what you do in your marketing strategy going forward. So if you know that your users or your customers react differently to one piece of content than another, then you know that you need to utilize that for your content going forward. So social can really fit into the overall picture in a massive, massive way. And that is everything from me.